Right, sorry guys. The for some reason my phone is overheating and shut down. I don't know why. It's the latest iPhone. It shouldn't have happened. Do you remember where we were, Chris?
We were discussing what the reasons I was parking in Civic Park.
Oh yeah, you were saying about the toilets and stuff. Yeah, and
I didn't quite finish saying. I sort of wanted to finish that one there. So it's just to cover it for people in the Teacher Galley community, because there was quite a bit of debate about the toilets. Are we still on?
Yep.
Okay, so there was a bit of debate about the opening hours of the toilets and why it was so important to keep the toilets open. Now, there was a myth that the homeless people were responsible for both destroying the toilets and committing activities in the toilets that weren't
You got a fan?
quite... yes. Fan.
Can you grab a fan, please, mate? My phone's overheating for some reason. I don't know why.
Of homeless people destroying toilets and doing nefarious activities, I think the word is, in the toilets. So as somebody who parked there for 4 months and was frequenting the area for 8 months...
Cold air fan, not a hot air fan.
Sorry, excuse me, people, while they're plugging a fan in here.
Okay.
So I was at the church for 8 months. When I came back from town, I was at the United Church across the road from the Teacher Galley Council for 8 months. And I would frequent Civic Park late at night until 11 o'clock because there were people at the church. And so I literally had to sit in Civic Park until 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Now, I was one of the only homeless people, besides another female who had been camping in the park. Sorry, excuse us here for a momentary delay. There was one female also camping in the park.
Yep.
Now, besides that, I was the only homeless person who was frequenting the park. Now, people have talked about groups of apparent homeless during the day. Now, they were not homeless people during the day. There was a group of Indigenous who were frequenting the park and sitting around during the day who had reportedly abused people, which I had never witnessed myself. But those Indigenous were housed residents from the very local area. They weren't homeless people. As you know, Sonia, all of the homeless people in Teacher Galley generally frequent the Teacher Galley Salvation Army.
Yep.
And we all know each other. We know where we all camp. And all of the other homeless were camping too far away and were not frequenting that toilet block. But what I was witnessing was teenagers who would come across after school at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they would graffiti the toilet, they would do their nefarious activities in the toilet, and I would find myself going in on a morningly basis and cleaning the toilet up. I released videos where I would go in and I would clean graffiti off the walls.
Yes.
Now, the importance of keeping the toilet block open till later in the night, and it was debated with me on your page and many others, was due to what the homeless were doing. I said, no, because the homeless aren't doing this. This is why it's truly important. As you put on your page, I one night witnessed a parent with a girl who would have been about 3 years old, and she needed to go to the toilet, and she couldn't hold it, so they ended up taking her behind a car. And I was crushed, my heart broke, I couldn't believe this, and I knew that those toilets had to be kept open late. When you've got a child, or when you've got a festival in the park where somebody is in desperate need of a toilet, the ability to cross the main road, wait for traffic, make your way into the
those
plaza,
toilets need to be open. I'm still trying to get them open. Yeah, I'm still trying to get council to open them.
And and the council provided statistics.
But you're right, homeless people get blamed for a lot of things that they don't do.
That's right.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the local homeless.
Now, let's move on to the next subject quick, because my phone's probably going to overheat again, and I don't know why. What do you think about people that look at homeless people and say, go and get a job, you bludger?
Okay, this is a fairly easy one. A homeless person over 24 hours will become dirty. Now, people who have a shower every morning, like right now after 6 months I have white hands again. On the street, even though I always try to present myself well and dress well, like I do my washing at the Salvation Army each day, or Orange Sky, so I had clean clothes, but what I could never get rid of was the underlying dirt underneath my skin around my nails. To try to get your nails clean each day, you might give your hands a scrub, but you end up with the stains that sort of sink into the hand and they never quite go away. Now, you wake up after a night. You can't get undressed at night. And so you find yourself sleeping in your clothes. By the next morning, they're stinky. You've been sweating all night. Let's say it's a hot summer's night, 30 plus degrees, and you're sweating. Now, the charities don't open, between 7 and 9 a.m. If you're in town, it's Hutt Street Centre at 7, in Teacher Gully, it's Salvo's at 9. So the first thing you want to do is have a shower. Now, here's a huge thing. I'm sort of going to be all over the place with this, but you've got all your gear as well. Now, to go to a job interview, first of all, you have to have somewhere to keep your gear. You might have blankets, sleeping bags, like you said, a trolley full of gear. You can't show up at a job interview in torn jeans, trolley full of gear, blankets over your shoulder, unshaven, dirty. You simply can't do that.
And after not having much sleep that night because you're
exactly
half awake.
right.
So you're exhausted.
Our daily routine consists of showering, shaving,
And surviving.
doing our washing, basic survival.
Yeah.
Finding our food. To find a job, I don't have quite any words for people that say that. It's not just impossible, it's a stupid suggestion. It's not that we don't want to work. Look at me. Before I was homeless, I was a qualified mechanic by trade at a local business, the motor shop, which some people might know that was on Smart Road. And I wanted more than anything to go back to my job. I found myself as a homeless guy smelling car exhaust going down the road, going crack head on the way, or going in a taxi with its bottom up and I couldn't help myself but to go and try to offer assistance. And so there are a lot of homeless people who would love nothing more than to go back to what they did before they were homeless. But we simply can't. We're trying to go through our daily mode of survival.
And the job networks too are not working efficiently. I mean, I know, with the twins, I housed them 6 months ago. They still don't have jobs, and they turn up for all the interviews and all the things, but the job networks,
You're easier going off your own back and finding work in other ways. I've recently become aware of a site. I can't remember the name. Somebody told me about it. It's like an Airbnb site, but for people who want to work. And you might list, I'm able to walk dogs, I'm able to clean a house, a skill that you might have. And people who are at work during the day and they come home at night and they simply haven't had the time during the day to do these things, they could hire you off of this Facebook page. And you're able to go and do a bit of cash in hand work just to earn yourself a few extra bucks. Or you can get onto a Facebook page where someone might be looking for something that you have skills in.
And the other thing is, what employer, if you want to employ somebody, you're going to choose a homeless person first?
Oh, no.
No, you don't.
The homeless person is not even going to get a look in.
Exactly. It's okay to say go and get a job and say that people are bludging off the system. But, I mean, when you don't sleep and you're walking around like a zombie and it's constant fight or flight syndrome because you're never 100% safe and protected and you're always, the adrenaline is always running high, lack of sleep, lack of facilities, lack of shower, lack of everything else, and you're meant to go and keep job hunting for a job that you know you're darn well not going to get.
Exactly right. And if you're in Teacher Gully, that's even harder because you can't even shower.
It's not about wanting a job. I mean, I know several people on the streets that want a job and want work. I know several people I've just housed that want work. They can't get it.
Exactly right. But being in Teacher Gully as a homeless person, you're only able to shower on a Monday, a Wednesday and a Friday. You can't even have a shower out on a Tuesday or a Thursday at the Salvation Army, and they are the only ones in the Teacher Gully area with a shower. The only other place that had a shower that I was aware of was the Ingle Farm Salvation Army down further.
You can use the recreation centres in the cities for showers and toilets. They just don't advertise it.
That's what I was going to say. They don't disclose that they have a shower. But that's like Bunnings. Just about all Bunnings have a shower somewhere within a Bunnings warehouse, and they are usually for their own workers, just in case of some sort of industrial accident, and a shower is actually needed. Tea Tree Plus did have some showers in the underground car park for cyclists who would park their cycles in the cage, but they closed those down due to homeless people using those showers. And they simply, and you can go into them and they still have the shower block there, but they've simply removed the shower head and the taps. So
there's such a, one of the things that frustrates me enormously is the stigma around homeless people. Like, all homeless people are junkies. Let's address that one, and I think we'll finish on that, and then we'll start up again next week.
Okay, so it's a very small minority. Now, I suppose this is depending on location. But this is a myth. I really should correct this. What is a junkie? I suppose that is the big question.
Well,
now,
yeah, I mean, you know, shooting up drugs, people,
so
yeah.
This is what I'd say. Unfortunately, I don't like to label people. This is the problem. I don't even like to use the word junkie, to be honest.
But that's what the community
That's
say.
what the community
A lot of the
see them as
community
junkies.
say they're just
Now,
junkies. Sonia's helping junkies.
As someone who has been in and out of every major city in this country due to wanting to find the services and know what the gaps are in my own city, and that's why I did what I did, to find the gaps that were existing in Adelaide, so I could come back here and go, this is what's needed for the homeless community in Adelaide, what we do not have. So, what you find is the people who are IV users, and that's the correct term for them, they're not junkies, they are IV users. They are generally actually people who are more couch surfing or slumming it at a house that is frequented and usually rented by another IV user or a dealer. They are not part of your mainstream homeless community. The only drugs that you will find in the mainstream homeless community is weed, marijuana. Now, I don't discriminate against those people either, because much like the drinker, if they want to pack their little pipe and smoke it, and it makes them go, ah, and all of a sudden the street relaxes for them and they're numbed out to it because they're simply trying to get rid of their pain. Now, the amount of people I know that came out to the streets and actually they were sober people. They were people who didn't use any substances. But given 6 months, they were offered it by somebody and they found that it relieved all the pain of being on the street.
And that's it. I mean, people aren't really addicted to substances. They're addicted to avoiding their life.
That's right.
Avoiding life,
but
yeah.
the people who are IV users, they fit into a different category all of their own. Like in Adelaide, there are certain car parks you go to, and this is where they frequent. They're not just sitting around the street doing it. They'll go to a little section of a car park in a dark little corner, and that's where they will do it. And I know this because I know these people by name.
We do have a couple in Teacher Gully though that do this stuff
from town.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
usually-
And we do have a few juice users as well.
Yes,
And
that's right.
and a few other things, a few meth users we've got.
But I know all these people.
Yeah.
And I know where they came from. I know how long they've been on the street.
Yeah.
And I know that their habit has not come from being homeless on the streets of Tea Tree Gully.
No.
Their habits have,
It's lifelong sort of
it's a
things,
lifelong
yeah.
dependency
Yes.
that's come from maybe avoiding some other part of their life.
Yes.
Now, you can only imagine what some people have been through in general in their lives. And, look at, I don't want to name any females,
Don't.
but I know a female just I met in the last 8 months, and the stories she told me about what happened in her teenage years led her to using to
Every homeless person, every homeless person has a story
That's exactly
behind
right.
them, and a lot of the stories are horrific.
They are like,
And this is why people take drugs, to try and not remember those horrible memories.
That's exactly right. My story wasn't so horrible. My story on the street was more horrible. On the street, I've been bashed, I've been stabbed, I've thrown up in and on my swag or my blankets, in my own urine. I've experienced some horrible things. I woke up with a knife in my back, and either with my arm, where somebody was going to try something. But pre-homelessness, my story wasn't bad at all. I ended up on the street because my father passed away, and the public insolvency came in. They're called public insolvency trustee. They came in and they auctioned off the family home and the family business. And so I found myself turfed out of the family home onto the street. So my upbringing was actually fairly good, and I had no horror story.
Yeah.
But leading to the street, and then I got myself onto Housing SA, I was straight away put onto Category 2 and told that my wait would be 15 years. And so I engaged with Towards Home.
Yeah.
And Towards Home at the time told me that, I wouldn't see housing anytime soon. Once they told me that, I literally gave up. I accepted that there was no chance of being housed.
Yeah.
And so I simply
Well, when I met you, you said, Sonia, I've accepted the fact that I'm going to die on the streets.
At that stage I was, because I developed a bowel condition.
Yeah, and you know, no, I'm never going to get a house.
You know, here I'm able to take medication. This is why I need a place to take my medication to be close to a toilet. And sometimes it works now, thank God. But you learn to live on the street, you accept your lot in life, and you make the best of it that you can.
Yeah, and that's the difference between accepting homelessness and wanting to be homeless. There's two different things, and I do get annoyed when people say to me, oh, you know, a large number of these people want to be homeless, they can't be housed, and it's complete rubbish.
I've never met
the biggest myth I've ever heard.
It is. I've never met anybody who has actively up and left their property to go and be homeless. I've never experienced that ever. I've travelled for the last 17 years between the states. Been homeless for extended periods in almost all places, and I've still never heard that story of someone.
No.
I had a place, it was good.
Exactly.
But I thought, bugger, I'm just going to go be homeless.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. So that is a myth.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, a lot of people come out onto the streets not being drug users at all, and a year or 2 years later are using drugs to cope, because it's simply a survival mechanism.
It's an absolute
You have to stay awake at night when you're living in a tent. It's a terrifying, dangerous place out there on the streets, and homeless people are vulnerable and can be victims of these dangerous people out on the streets. So you have to stay awake at night for your own safety and sleep during the day, because there's not as many nasty people around during the day as there is at night time. So to stay awake for night after night after night on end is very, very difficult without the aid of some sort of substance to help keep you awake.
And that's why those of us who did it sober without a substance experienced more depression and sadness than those who choose it to. But
your body goes through hell.
There is another aspect to this. Even for people who came out sober and weren't abusing a substance and still never intended to, even after their first time, they still never intended to do it. I've watched as people came out and they might have thought it was going to be a one-off, but then they realised how much better they felt.
Yes, yeah. And it's an escape, isn't it?
They did it again and again, and then all of a sudden, before they knew it, it had become part of their daily norm.
Yes, and it progresses too. Like they might start with a bit of dope, and then somebody will offer them something else, or slip them something else, and all of a sudden it's a step up, and we're doing this now.
It is.
And then somebody else will say, oh, all I've got's this. You'll have to have this. Okay, I'll have that. All of a sudden now you're a meth user, and you weren't 5 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 1 year ago.
And unfortunately, that leads to all sorts of other issues out there on the street. Like homelessness.
The thieving,
Homelessness does in general. You walk through the mall and you hear the people yelling and screaming at the top of their lungs. Now, that's for one of two reasons. Either the drug has sent them into a psychosis, or simply being homeless and the daily looks from people. Even me, myself, I found myself slipping into that. People stare at you.
The anger.
The anger. You walk down there and at first you try to ignore it. For years and years you ignore it. And then one day it just gets to you. And you find yourself screaming like, what are you looking at?
Yeah, because people just stare at you.
And all of a sudden you're one of those crazy people in the street. But it's what being homeless does to you, because everybody else is...
Well, you're really under a microscope, aren't you? Because you don't have any protection from the community. You're out there all the time.
That's exactly right.
So you're being looked at. You're being, well, one of the things that reminds me of just recently of a man I started working with about a month ago, who was near a shopping centre, and he would say that people would come by and they would leave him food and just leave like a packet of rolls or a drink or something, but no one spoke to him and sat down and had a chat to him. And he said, people leave me food like I'm a bird, but he said no one actually sat down and had a conversation with me and recognised me and acknowledged me, because I feel as if I'm invisible all the time.
The most important thing that people can do, besides actually giving money to a person who can survive throughout the night, is also sitting down and having a chat. it means the world to most people sitting in a doorway with their little beanie out, or even if they haven't. If someone's lying in their blankets at night and they're still awake, it means the world late at night for a group of people on a lonely cold night to come and sit down and have a chat.
So the next thing is, what should people say? Because a lot of people don't know what to say to a homeless person. And they avoid them because they don't know what to
Treat
say.
them like a normal person.
Yeah.
Now, depending on the circumstances as well, you've got to, it's very hard, I understand, to judge who is going to turn around and abuse you and
say,
tell you to F off and who's not.
Well, if they say F off, you just say no worries and off you go.
But you know what, most of the time you can tell because if you walk past a lot of homeless people and they'll go, good morning. If you could hear the pleasantness in someone's voice, or you can see that someone's face looks away. I believe this comes back to not the homeless person, but the other individuals to be able to look at someone and go, hey, he's okay. I can tell. You know, or no, this man, I might just walk.
Yeah, it's the fear. You know, do I say something? Do I not? And another thing is, people are frightened that they're going to offend a homeless person by saying, "Look, mate, would you like a coffee or whatever?" They're frightened that they're going to be offended. So that's the other side of the coin.
I'm going to grab myself a coffee. Can I grab you one as well?
Yeah.
You know, and that's not so offensive. I never found someone asking me for a coffee if I wanted a coffee to be offensive.
Yeah.
You know.
It's tough because a lot of people tend to pretend that homeless people aren't there. You tend to not look their way or their direction. You just keep going on what you're doing and you make out they're not there. And I think there's so many homeless people that say to Teresa and myself, you know, what do you really want from people? And every one of them nearly says to be recognised, to say somebody to know that I actually exist, and to say hello, because 9 times out of 10 I'm invisible to everybody.
It's so important just to treat a homeless person like everybody else. That's all they want. They don't want to be treated like a homeless person.
Yeah.
You know, be treated like a pariah in the street.
Yeah.
Want to be treated normally, even if we're sitting there in dirty, bare feet.
Yes.
We still want to be treated normally.
Yes.
And on that note, before we leave tonight, never buy a homeless person a pair of shoes if they have bare feet, because the assumption straight away will be, oh, I see you've got a brand new pair of shoes, you must not be homeless, you must be faking it. I used to cop that quite a bit. When I'd sit down in the morning and I'd put my beanie out and my sign asking for a coffee please, thank you. And people would see my brand new shoes that someone had bought me the day before. And I learnt that having brand new clothes and brand new shoes...
Yeah, if you can afford a pair of shoes, you can afford a coffee.
Well, people are also aware that there's a lot of people who come out and beg who actually are coming out of homes to beg. So this was a problem I had when I looked nice in general. I come into Teacher Plaza in my nice clothing when I started to have a bit of pride about myself. And, you know, I'd spend a little bit of money on clothing because I wanted to have something nice. God forbid a homeless person has anything nice.
Well, this is the other myth. Let's quickly go to this one, that all homeless people look like the dirty old man that hasn't showered for 5 years, that's pushing the trolley and stinks to high hell. Most people, as you know, most people I know that are homeless, you wouldn't pick that they were homeless.
No, because you'll find a lot of homeless people will not only just go for their shower each morning, but like myself, first thing you'll find is we're in a toilet block. You know, trying to have a good scrub, keeping a razor on us to have a shave. We do clean our clothes. The misinterpretation that we have dirty clothes. Orange Sky are driving around in their laundry vans and we're able to laundry as many times a week as we need to, as long as we're prepared to go to those locations. Excuse me. We can catch a bus and go to a free laundromat in North Adelaide, the Orange Sky free laundromat, to do our washing. The Salvation Army. But it's very few and far between homeless people. It's those who have completely given up, no longer wash their clothes.
Yes.
Or those who have got some sort of...
the really severe mental health issues.
Really severe mental health issues.
Yes.
Or those people who have been doing it for so long. This is a hard example, but there's a gentleman in town who's been homeless for 35 years. And he wears the same pair of pants, usually for about 2 years at a time, until they're all torn up with big holes in them everywhere and his legs are all exposed, and he finally needs to get a new pair, which he'll only source off in a bin somewhere, or out of a charity bin. He refuses to... he's so independent of the system as well of homeless services
Yep.
that he doesn't want to utilise the showers or the laundries. He doesn't want to take money from anyone. He's not taking settlements.
Yes.
He's not getting anything.
Completely independent. And you do get those ones, and usually they're the ones that sleep out away from everybody and don't want to be disturbed.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
actually integrate with the homeless community.
No, they don't.
in
No,
any way
they
else.
just stick to
They
themselves.
just want to be left alone.
Yeah. We have a couple like that, and we've just let them be and said, look, you know, if you need us, you know, there's a way to raise us. If not, we'll just leave you alone, because they just don't want any help from anybody, and we respect that.
Yeah, you've got to. This is why, like I say, with people in tents as well, you should never approach a tent because you don't know that somebody even wants the help.
Look, I always, what I do anyway, if I see someone new in a tent that I don't recognise, I just bring a hot meal or what have you, so that they know.
They will come out of their tent.
They know that I'm friendly and that I care, and I'm looking to, you know, provide something for them, whether they need help or a meal. And that way I say, hi, is anyone home? You know, and if I know that there's a rustle in and they don't answer and they don't come out, then I know that they don't want to come out.
Yeah, they're either not there or they want to be left
Exactly,
alone.
and they want to be left alone. So I say, look, if you change your mind, I'm, you know, available. You can get me through here or here. Otherwise I'll leave you alone, you know, have a great day or whatever. So you always, and then the ones that I do know, I always do the same thing. I never ever enter their space, ever, unless I'm invited. And I stand out, even with the twins, with their big thing. They would have to invite me in because I would not go into their compound. I would stay outside and I would yell out, hey guys, it's Sonia. I'm here out the front. Can somebody come out and talk to me? I've got some news for you, or something like that. I would never ever invade somebody else's space because that's their home.
It is.
That's their home, and you need to treat people with
Talking
respect.
on this sort of thing very quickly as well. I'd like to say to anyone out there, get a lot of comments on different pages about telling people to go to, say, Homeless Connect or Hutt Street Centre
Yep.
or a shelter in general. Now, there's a myth about shelters that Adelaide has a lot of homeless shelters. Adelaide does not have a lot of homeless shelters. For women, there is generally only Catherine House, and for the men, it's a St Vincent de Paul night shelter. There are no other shelters. Hutt Street Centre is not a shelter. It's only a daytime drop-in centre open till 1:30 p.m. It does not shut. It does not open all day. It shuts just after lunch. Last person out by 1:30.
Yep.
Westcare is not a shelter. Although on Code Reds and Code Blues they open overnight, and the rest of the time it's simply a daytime drop-in centre that also shuts
We
after
desperately
lunch.
need more homelessness
do.
shelters. We desperately need.
But there's a lot of charities and drop-in centres in the city, but the shelters do not exist in the numbers that people think. Then they tell people to go to Homeless Connect. Well, Homeless Connect
They're
is
useless.
useless as
Absolutely
God knows what.
useless.
It
Yeah.
is very, very much useless. Hutt Street Centre can very much only
Mutt
refer.
Street.
Yes, I've got a lot of dirty names for that as well. They can only refer you on somewhere else. And for people who don't know, a lot of us don't want to go to Hutt Street Centre because they are listing us on what's called the Eternal Shame File. It's a government file that is used to collect statistics for funding. Although they claim that they make money, and just up yesterday I read an article that was put in the paper that majority of their funding comes from donations. It does not. It is corporations
Governments.
and government funded. Every time you walk in a building, your name is taken at the door. Every time you get a towel, your name is taken. Every time you get a bottle of water, your name is taken. Every time you have a shower, name is taken. Lunch, name is taken. And they all count towards statistics. Then your name goes onto the eternal shame file that you were accessing these services, and your name will forever stay on that file. And there's a lot of people who don't want that.
No.
We would rather go to a service that doesn't take your name down
For every little
for
thing.
every little thing that you do.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Hutt Street Centre goes, to get some truth out there about that place as well.
Well, let's save that for another.
Okay,
let's save that for
next
another
time
one,
because I've got
because
to
we don't really want to go out of our way to run down charities that are doing some good, but we can address some of the myths and truths about some of the charities around next video. And we've also got a special guest next video as well, in Adam. And Adam is a young man that's been on the streets since he was 11 years old. He's now 33. We're trying to get him off the streets. at the moment, and him and Chris travelled around interstate together,
we
didn't
did.
you, as
We did.
homeless people. So you'll meet Adam next week, and we will do another live, and as many lives as we need to get lots of useful information out there to the community. And we'll cut it short now, because otherwise we'll be here all night. Chris, because I know that you're fascinating to listen to and really like to, and a passionate like to get into these subjects. So thank you very much for giving up your time for our community, and we'll meet same time next week.
Same time, same
And
place.
we'll have Adam with us as well, and hopefully you both will be able to give us a lot more information about the truths and myths of homelessness. So thank you very much, Chris. We really appreciate your time. Sorry about the first video. For some reason, my new iPhone overheated. Probably not used to, having it on record for so long. So I'm going to have to try and look at what to do with that next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. This videos will be uploaded to a YouTube channel that you'll be able to watch after they finish on Facebook. Thanks very much, Chris.
Thank you.